Well, hello everyone, and welcome to our performance of Alice in Wonderland tonight. My name is Katie Hale, and I am the director of this crazy cast of people back here. Thank you. So this is our 7th year performing as Calvary Community Theater here at Rosefest, and we are so grateful that we were able to come back every single year and do these wonderful shows. It's so good to be in front of everybody, again, getting to perform. So thank you all for being here, and thank you, City of Roseville, for hosting us every year. It's been a great experience. For those of you who've been here many years in a row, you'll notice that our cast is a little bit smaller this year. We have 18 performers, and we've been working on this show for about 2 months. So these guys are amazing. They have taken on so much, especially in a time of so much uncertainty, and I'm so glad that we're able to perform here for you. And there are people from the community, there are people from Calvary Church. It's a big community outreach event. We're so grateful for that. So fun housekeeping stuff. The show runs 1 hour 15 minutes with no intermission. And if you need a program, there are some lovely ladies out here that have programs. They're walking around, so just raise your hand and they will bring a program to you. So other than that, thank you for being here tonight, and please enjoy the show.
How doth the little busy bee improve each shining hour, and gather honey all the day from every opening flower. How skillfully she builds her cell, how neat she spreads the wax, and labors hard to store it well with the sweet food she makes. In works of labor or of skill, I would be busy too, for Satan finds such mischief still for idle hands to do. In books or work or healthful play, let my first years be passed, that I may give for every day some good account at last. Alice, are you paying attention?
Yes, Marjorie.
Clearly not. Come, sit here. Now, recite the poem back just as I read it to you.
Our deck is missing a card, you know.
Oh, put those away. You don't want Mother to see you playing with cards, do you?
But where's the Queen of Hearts? It seems she's gone missing.
Put those down. Mother will be furious if she finds you messing with these. Now, we've been working on this poem for weeks. Surely you can recite the first 4 lines at least.
Okay. How doth the little crocodile improve his shining tail, and pour the waters of the Nile on every golden scale? How cheerfully he seems to grin, how neatly spreads his claws, and welcomes little fishes in with gently smiling jaws.
Oh, Alice, you stop that. That's not how this poem goes at all.
But why do you have to make poetry so dreadfully boring?
Well, maybe if you pay attention when I read it to you, you might find it more interesting.
But what can be so interesting about a book that doesn't have any pictures in it?
Well, grown-ups read books without pictures all the time. Now sit down and listen.
But I am a grown-up. I'm 11 3/4, and I think books should have pictures in them.
Well, then stop with your nonsense. You can't be a grown-up while you're making silly faces in the mirror.
But why not? I always pretend I'm 2 Alices. It's much more fun than lessons. Sometimes when I'm all alone, I walk up to the looking glass and I talk to the other Alice. She's so silly, that Alice. She can't do anything by herself. She just mocks me all the time. Don't you wish sometimes you could go into the looking glass world? See?
Well, that's it. If you don't have this poem memorized by 4 o'clock, then I'll tell Mother you can't have any tea with us today.
But Marjorie, all grown-ups have tea.
Well, here, do your own lessons then. And if that poem isn't memorized, I'll make sure you don't get any tea.
She's so full of herself. She can't see what's right in front of her nose. But I know better. You can see the whole room through the glass. It's very much like our living room here, except things go the other way. I can see all of it, except for the bit just behind the fireplace. And look at all the books they've got. I imagine there's something like our books here, except words go the wrong way. Won't there ever be a way of getting through? Oh, how very peculiar. The mirror is ever so close now. I wonder if I could go through it. It seems I've fallen right into the looking glass world. I wonder. It is! The words are all backwards. 'Twas brillig and the slithy toes did gyre and gimble in the wabe. Mimsy were the borogoves, and the monraths outgrabe. Why, that makes no sense whatsoever. This room is very much like the old room. And they left the tea things out. Poor Marjorie, thinking she can punish me like that. I'll just have my tea in the looking glass world like a grown-up lady. What fun it'll be when Marjorie sees me through the glass in there and can't get at me. Oh, I was so looking forward to tea. At any rate, if I don't make haste, I shall have to go back through the glass before I've seen what the rest of the house is like. Oh dear, oh dear. Oh, my dear paws. Oh, my fern whiskers. How late it is getting. Oh, the Duchess. The Duchess! She'll get me executed as sure as ferrets are ferrets. Why, it's a rabbit in a waistcoat. I've never seen something so strange. If you please, you dropped your glove.
Well, after a fall such as this, I shall think nothing of tumbling downstairs. Oh, how brave they'll all think of me at home. Why, I wouldn't say anything about it, even if I fell off the top of the house. I wonder how many miles I've been falling by now. I must be getting somewhere near the center of the earth. Let me see. That would be 4,000 miles down, I think. Yes, that's about the right distance. But then, I wonder what latitude or longitude.
I've reached the bottom, I think. This ground is much too hard to be a rabbit hole. And I've never seen portraits in a rabbit hole either. Maybe I'm not in one at all. Maybe I've fallen through the center of the earth. How funny it'll seem to those people. I shall have to ask them what the name of the country is, you know. If you please, ma'am, is this New Zealand or Australia? And what a foolish little girl they'll think of me. No, it'll never do to ask. Perhaps I shall see it written up somewhere. Drink me. It's all very well to say drink me. Although I best check to see if it's marked poison or not. If you drink too much from a bottle marked poison, it's sure to disagree with you sooner or later. Although, this one seems safe. I'm rather sweet, like a cherry tart. Oh, I feel as if I'm shutting up like a telescope. Why, there's no use being two people now. There's hardly enough left of me to make one respectable person.
And I hope I don't shrink any further. For man and my going out altogether much like a candle. Well, I wonder what I should be like then.
Who are you?
Well, I hardly know just at present. Well, I know who I was when I woke up this morning, but I must have changed several times since then.
What do you mean by that? Explain yourself.
Well, I can't explain myself, I'm afraid, because I'm not myself, you see. Being so many different sizes in a day is very confusing.
It isn't.
When you turn into a chrysalis, you will find it confusing, I should think.
You don't think.
I do too think! That's very rude of you to say.
Come back. I have something important to say.
What is it?
Keep your temper.
Is that all?
No. So you think you've changed, do you?
I'm afraid I am. I don't keep the same size.
Recite, you are old, Father William.
You are old, Father William, the young man said, and your hair has become very white. And yet you incessantly stand on your head. Do you think at your age it is right?
That was not said right.
Not quite right, I'm afraid.
It was wrong from beginning to end. What size do you want to be?
I don't know. At least I've never been the height of a caterpillar.
It's a good height indeed.
But I'm not used to it.
You'll get used to it in time.
Wait, how am I supposed to...
You'll know when you reach the beginning again, of course.
What's that supposed to mean? Caterpillar? Oh, how very rude to just leave me behind in the middle of a conversation. No one in Looking Glass World has any sense. But there must be some way to get home. Oh, look at this beautiful garden. Oh wait, these are the biggest flowers I have ever seen. Oh, it is just so peculiar being so small. If only these flowers could talk.
We can talk, when there's anybody worth talking to.
And can all the flowers talk?
Just as well as you can.
And a great deal louder. It isn't manners for us to begin, you know. And I really was wondering when you'd speak. Said I to myself, her face has got some sense in it, though it isn't a very clever one. Still, you're the right color, and that goes a long way.
I don't care about the color. If only her petals curled up a little bit more, then she'd be all right.
Where do you come from and where are you going? Look up, speak nicely, and don't twiddle your fingers.
I seem to have lost my way.
I don't know what you mean by your way. All the ways here belong to the Queen.
And curtsy while you're thinking what to say. It saves time.
How is it you can all talk so nicely? I've been to many gardens before, but none of those flowers could talk.
Put your hand down and feel the ground. Then you'll know why.
It's very hard, but I don't see what that has to do with it.
In most gardens, they make the beds too soft, so the flowers are always asleep.
I never thought of that before.
It's my opinion that you never think at all.
I never saw anybody that looked stupider.
Hold your tongue, as if you ever saw anybody.
Aren't you sometimes frightened at being planted out here with nobody to take care of you?
There's the tree in the middle. What else is it good for?
But what could it do if any danger came?
Oh, it says bow wow. That's why its branches are called boughs.
Didn't you know that?
You're so stupid. Even a clover would know that.
Stop that! If you don't hold your tongues, I'll pick you.
You watch your head, little seedling, or you might lose it.
Imagine, if I picked you, how would you like it?
You have no more sense than a weed.
Yes, an ugly weed. Let's pick the ugly weed.
Yes,
You silly little weed.
Go away!
Oh dear, oh the Duchess! Oh, my fur and whiskers, she'll get me executed as sure as ferrets are ferrets! Oh, you pesky weeds! Get out of here! Shoot! Go on. I don't know why you always lumber about like this. Really.
Oh, thank you so much, Rabbit. those flowers would have buried me alive in half a minute.
Marianne, what are you doing out here? Run home this moment and fetch me a pair of gloves and a fan. Quick now.
You mean these gloves and fan?
You have them.
I'm sorry, but you dropped them.
Oh, there isn't any time to waste. I must see the Duchess at once.
What's the knocking?
Pepper!
Answer the door!
Oh, yes, yes. May I help you, good rabbit?
An invitation for the Duchess from the Queen to play croquet.
An invitation from the Queen for the Duchess to play...
Yes. I must be off at once. So many invitations. Oh, Marianne, I must have one for you here somewhere.
An invitation to play croquet with a queen? I've never played with a queen before.
And chant again if she's in one of her moods. Oh, I must be off at once.
Oh, but Rabbit, my invitation. Oh, what a racket they're making in there. Still, it is very rude to enter without knocking.
There is no use knocking, and that is for two reasons. First, I am on the same side of the door as you are, and second, they're making such a noise, no one could possibly hear you.
Please, Nun, how am I to get in?
Still, there might be some use in your knocking if we had the door between us. For example, if you were inside, you could knock and I could let you out.
But how am I to get in?
I haven't the faintest idea. However, I shall sit here until tomorrow, or the next day perhaps. Would you care for a story? Once upon a time, there was a man who didn't like the sort of houses people lived in, so he built a model village. Now, it wasn't really a model village because all of the houses were big enough for people to live in, and he went about saying...
I would very much like you to answer the door.
The door?
This door, of course.
Answer the door. What has it been asking for?
Well, nothing. I've been knocking at it.
Oh, shouldn't do that. Shouldn't do that. That vexes it, you know.
Oh, there's no use talking to you.
Pepper! There's not enough pepper in this soup!
I think there's more than enough pepper.
If everybody minded their own business.
More pepper!
Sneeze then and get rid of it.
Speak roughly to your little boy and beat him when he sneezes. He only does it to annoy because he knows it teases. I speak severely to my boy. I beat him when he sneezes. For he can thoroughly enjoy the pepper when he pleases.
Oh, dear.
More pepper!
Oh, what a cook to have. Please,
if everybody minded their own business, the world would go round a great deal faster than it does.
Which would not be to an advantage. You see, it takes 24 hours for the Earth to turn around on its axis.
Talking of axes, chop off her head.
Oh, how dreadful!
And the moral of that is, 'tis love. 'Tis love that makes the world go round.
Pepper! Pepper makes the world go around.
Oh, would you tell me, please, why your cat grins like that?
It's a Cheshire cat. That's why. Pig!
I didn't know that Cheshire cats always grinned. In fact, I didn't know that they could grin.
They all can, and most of them do.
Well, I don't know of any that do.
You don't know much, and that's a fact. Here, you may hold it if you like. I must go get ready to go play croquet with the Queen.
If I don't take this child away with me, they're sure to kill it in a day or two. Oh, my goodness. I've never heard a baby cry like that before. It almost sounds like a pig. Why, it is a pig!
My pig! My pig, yes! More pepper!
Of course it's a pig.
Well, you can talk.
It's because I'm a Cheshire cat, you know.
Well, I didn't know. Oh, Cheshire Cat, would you tell me which way I ought to walk from here?
That depends a good deal on where you want to get to.
I don't really much care where.
Then it doesn't matter which way you walk.
So long as I get somewhere.
Oh, you're sure to do that if only you walk long enough.
Well, then could you tell me, please, what sort of people live around here?
In that direction lives a hatter, and in that direction lives a March hare. Visit either you like. They're both mad.
Oh, but I don't want to go among mad people.
Oh, you can't help that. We're all mad here. I'm mad. You're mad.
How do you know that I'm mad?
Well, you must be, or you wouldn't have come here.
Well, and how do you know that you're mad?
To begin with, a dog's not mad. You grant that?
I suppose so.
Well, you see, a dog growls when it's angry and wags its tail when it's pleased. I growl when I'm pleased and wag my tail when I'm angry. Therefore, I'm mad.
I call it purring, not growling.
Yeah, call it what you like. Do you play croquet with the queen today?
Well, I should like it very much. Only I haven't been invited yet.
Am I mad? Or am I mad?
What a lovely tea party!
No!
There's plenty of room.
Have some wine.
I don't see any wine.
There isn't any.
Then it wasn't very civil of you to offer it.
Well, it wasn't very civil of you to sit down without being invited.
I didn't know it was your table. It's laid out for a great many more than 3.
Your hair wants cutting.
You should learn not to make personal remarks. It's very rude.
Oh, why is a raven like a writing desk?
Oh, a riddle. I believe I can guess that.
Oh, so you mean that you think that you can find out the answer to it?
Exactly so.
Well, then you should say what you mean.
I do. At least I mean what I say. But that's the same thing, you know.
Not the same thing a bit. Why, I might just as well say that I see what I eat is the same thing as I eat what I see.
You might just as well say that I like what I get is the same thing as I get what I like.
You might just as well say that I breathe when I sleep is the same thing as I sleep when I breathe.
It is the same thing with you. What day of the month is it?
The 4th.
Oh, 2 days wrong! I told you butter wouldn't suit the works!
It was the best butter!
Yes, but some breadcrumbs must have gotten as well. You shouldn't have put it in with the bread knife.
It was the best butter, you know.
What a funny watch. It tells the day of the month, but it doesn't tell what o'clock it is.
Why should it? Does your watch tell you what year it is?
Of course not, but that's because it stays the same year for a long time altogether.
Which is just the case with mine.
The dormouse is asleep again.
Oh. Wake up, dormouse!
Of course, that's just what I was going to remark myself.
Have you guessed the riddle yet?
No, I give it up. What's the answer?
I haven't the slightest idea.
Nor I.
I think you would do something better with the time than wasting it and asking riddles that have no
as I do, you wouldn't talk about wasting it. It's him.
I don't know what you mean.
Of course you don't. I dare say you've never even spoken to time.
Perhaps not. But I know I have to beat time when I learn music.
Well, that accounts for it. He won't stand beating. Now, if you only kept on good terms with him, he'd do almost anything you'd like with the clock. For instance, suppose it were 9 o'clock in the morning, just time to begin lessons. You'd only have to whisper a hint of time, and round goes the clock in a twinkling. 1:30, time for dinner.
I only wish it was.
We quarreled last March just before he went mad, you know. It was at the great concert given by the Queen of Hearts, and I had to sing.
Twinkle, twinkle, little bat, how I wonder where you're at.
You know the song.
I've heard something like it.
Twinkle, 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 twinkle.
Hardly finished the first
twinkle,
verse when the Queen bawled out, "He's murdering the time off with his head!"
How dreadfully savage!
And ever since that, he won't do a thing I ask. It's always 6 o'clock now.
Is that why there's so many tea things laid out here?
Yes, that's it. And we've no time to wash the things between whiles.
So you keep moving round, I suppose.
Exactly so, as the things get used up.
But when you come back to the beginning again?
Suppose we change the subject. I wrote, "The young lady, tell us a story."
I'm afraid I don't know one.
Then the Dormouse shall.
Wake up, Dormouse! I wasn't asleep. I heard every word you were saying.
Tell us a story.
Yes, please do.
And be quick about it, or you'll be asleep again before it's done.
Once upon a time, there were 3 little sisters, and their names were Elsie, Lacey, and Tilly, and they lived at the bottom of a well.
What did they live on?
They lived on treacle.
They couldn't have done that, you know. They'd have been ill.
So they were quite ill.
But why do they live at the bottom of a well?
Take some more tea.
I've had none yet, so I can't take more.
You mean you can't take less? It's very, very easy to take more than nothing.
Nobody asked your opinion.
Who's making personal remarks now?
Why did they live at the bottom of a well?
It was a treacle well.
There's no such thing!
I want a clean cup. Let's all move one place on.
But I don't understand. Where did they draw the treacle from?
Well, you can draw water out of a water well, so I think you could draw a treacle out of a treacle well, eh, stupid?
But they were in the well.
So they were well in.
Hello.
So these 3 little sisters, they were learning to draw, you know.
What did they draw?
Treacle. They were learning to draw, and they drew all manner of things. Everything that begins with an M.
Why with an M?
Why not?
That begins with an M, such as mousetraps, and the moon, and memory, and muchness. You know, you say things are much of a muchness, but did you ever see such a thing as a drawing of a muchness?
Did you?
Really, now you ask?
Then you shouldn't talk!
You are very rude! And if that's how you're going to act, then I'm not staying here a moment longer. This is the stupidest tea party I ever was at in all my life!
Oh, thank you! Oh, let's do it! It's time for a nap.
You think that grown-ups would would take their tea in a more civilized manner. Everyone really is so mad here. Oh, I wish I was having tea with Marjorie right now. It must be almost 4 o'clock back home. Maybe if I hurry, I can make it out of the woods. What peculiar figures. Tweedledee and Tweedledum.
If you think we're waxworks, you ought to pay, you know.
Waxworks weren't made to be looked at for nothing.
No how. Contrary-wise, if you think we're alive, you should speak.
Yes, I'm sure. I'm sorry.
I know what you're thinking, but it isn't so. No how.
Contrary-wise, if it was so, it might be.
And if it were so, it would be.
But as it isn't,
it ain't.
That's logic.
Well, I was thinking, which is the way out of the woods? It's getting so dark. Would you tell me, please?
Do you like poetry?
What shall we recite to her?
The Walrus and the Carpenter.
That's the longest.
Oh, if it's dreadfully long, could you first please tell me which is the road back home? Because I really need to be getting home.
Ahem. The sun was shining on the sea, shining with all his might. He did his very best to make the billows smooth and bright. And this was odd because it was the middle of the night.
The moon was shining sulkily because she thought the sun had got no business to be there after the day was done. That's very rude of him, she cried, to come and spoil the fun.
The walrus and the carpenter were walking close at hand. They wept like anything to see such quantities of sand.
If we're only cleared away,
they said,
it would be grand.
Oh, oysters, come and walk with us.
The walrus did beseech.
A pleasant walk, a pleasant talk along the briny beach.
We cannot do with more than 4 to give a hand to each.
Then 4 young oysters hurried up, all eager for the treat. Their coats were brushed, their faces washed, their shoes were clean and neat. And this was odd because, you know, they hadn't any feet.
4 other oysters followed them, and then another 4. And thick and fast they came at last, all scrambling and more and more and more, all hopping through the frothy waves and scrambling to the shore.
The time has come,
the walrus said,
to talk of many things, of shoes and ships and sealing wax, of cabbages and kings.
And why the sea is boiling hot, and whether pigs have wings.
A loaf of bread,
the walrus said,
is what we chiefly need.
Pepper and vinegar besides are very good indeed. Now if you're ready, oysters dear, we can begin to feed.
But not on us! The oysters cried, turning a little blue. After such kindness, that would be a dismal thing to do.
The night is fine,
the walrus said.
Do you admire the view?
Oh, oysters,
said the carpenter.
You've had a pleasant run. Shall we be trotting home again?
But answer came there none, and this was scarcely odd because
they'd eaten every one.
Wow. How dreadful. They were both very unpleasant characters.
Do you see that?
It's only a rattle.
I knew it. It's ruined, of course.
You needn't be so angry about an old rattle.
But it isn't old, I tell you. It's new. It's new. My nice new rattle. Of course, you'll agree to have a battle.
I suppose so. Only she must help us to dress up and referee, you know.
She must.
After all, you started this whole thing.
All this over a rattle?
I do hope you're a good hand at pinning things and tying strings.
All these have to go on somehow or other.
Do I look very pale?
Well, yes, a little.
Usually I'm very brave, but today I'm afraid I have a bit of a headache.
And I've got a toothache. I'm far worse than you, contrary-wise.
Well, then I wouldn't fight today if I were you.
But we must have a bit of a battle. Well, I don't care to go on long. What's the time now?
4:30.
All right. Let's fight until 6 and then have dinner.
Very well. Only you better not get too close. I generally hit everything I see when I get really excited.
And I hit everything within reach, whether I see it or not.
Really now? I should be ashamed to fight about such a trifle.
No how. Contrary-wise.
For Alice, an invitation from the Queen to play croquet.
Oh, what fun! And we're not asked. What an insult!
Look out now, Five. Don't go splashing paint all over me like that.
Oh, I couldn't help it. 7 jogged my elbow.
That's right, Five. Lay the blame on others.
You shouldn't talk. Why, I heard the Queen say only yesterday that you deserve to be beheaded.
What for?
It was for bringing the cook mustard instead of pepper.
That's none of your business, too.
Well, of all the...
Excuse me! Would you tell me, please, why you are painting those roses?
Well, you see, miss, the fact is, these here ought to have been red rose trees. And we planted white ones by mistake. And if the Queen were to find them out, we shall have our heads cut off, you know. So you see, Miss Stringabess, before she comes to paint them like...
What's that?
The Queen!
She'll behead us!
Coming here.
Announcing Her Majesty, the Queen of
Idiot! Oh, what is your name, child? I am Alice, Your Majesty.
Yes, of course you are. Who are these? I can't tell them from their backs. Turn them over.
They were only trying to help, Your Majesty.
Well, off with your head.
Oh, consider, my dear, she is only a child.
Do you think she's an egg? Of course she's a child, and a very rude one at that. Off with your head.
Nonsense.
Nonsense? If there's one thing I can't stand, it's insubordination and impertinence. Off with your head.
But that's 2 things. Your Majesty.
Can you play croquet, Alice?
Why, yes. But not if my head is gone, Your Majesty.
We'll see about that. Get to your places. Where are my mallets? Here! Off with your head.
What fun!
What is the fun?
Oh, I see. It's all her fancy that they never execute anyone. Oh, here, have a tart.
Get to your places.
Where's the Duchess?
Oh. Under sentence of execution.
What for?
She boxed the queen's ears. Oh, gosh, she might hear you.
How can you go on thinking so quietly with your head downwards?
What does it matter where my body happens to be? My mind goes on working all the same. Oh, the fact of the matter is, the more I head downwards I am, the more I keep on inventing new things. Oh.
Did you happen to see anybody coming down the road?
I see nobody on the road.
If only I had such eyes to be able to see nobody. Oh, if only anybody was accompanying him.
I beg your pardon?
It isn't respectable to beg.
No, I mean, you misunderstood.
Off with their heads!
Oh, my dear Fur and Whiskers, she's at it again!
Oh, my dear, not again! Let's go on with the game.
How are you getting on? How do you like the queen?
Not at all. The queen quarrels so dreadfully with everybody. It's quite silly.
What is that you are talking to?
It's a friend of mine, a Cheshire cat. Allow me to introduce it.
Oh, I don't like the look of it at all. However, it may kiss my hand if it likes.
I'd rather not.
Don't be impertinent. Don't look at me like that.
A cat may look at a king. I've read that in some book, but I don't remember where.
Well, it must be removed. Oh, my dear. I wish you would have this cat removed. I don't like it.
Off with their head!
But you can't cut off a head unless there's a body to cut it off from.
Well, anything that has a head can be beheaded.
Yes, and if something isn't done about this in less than no time, I'll have everybody executed all around.
Well, it belongs to the Duchess. You'd better ask her about it.
Fetch the Duchess! Oh, fetch the Duchess!
Oh, Cheshire Cat, I've had enough of her ridiculous demands. How am I supposed to get home?
Just remember, Alice, above all else, keep your head.
How am I supposed to keep my head in a place like this?
I'm sure you'll find a way. You always do.
It's gone! The cat is gone!
That cat! Where? It's disappeared!
Like that.
You can't think how glad I am to see you, you dear old thing.
Oh, I'm so glad you've escaped.
You're thinking of something.
I can tell. I can't think just now what the moral of it is, but I shall remember in a bit.
Perhaps it hasn't one.
Tut, tut, child. Everything has a moral, if only you can find it.
The game is going on rather better now.
It is so. And the moral of that is, take care of the sense, and the sounds will take care of themselves.
How fond you are of finding morals in things.
And the moral of that is, birds of a feather flock together. Flamingos and mustard both bite, you know.
Only mustard isn't a bird, it's a mineral. I think.
I quite agree. There's a large mustard mine near here. And the moral of that is, the more there is of mine, the less there is of yours.
Oh, I know. It's a vegetable. It doesn't look like one, but it is.
And the moral of that is, be what you would seem to be. Or, if you would like it put more simply, never imagine yourself not to be otherwise than what it might appear to others that what you were, or might have been, was not otherwise than what you might have been, was to them otherwise.
I think I should understand that better if I had it written down, but I can't quite follow it as you say it.
'Tis nothing to what I could say, if I chose.
Pray, don't trouble yourself to say it any longer than that.
Don't speak of trouble. And the moral of that is, A fine day, Your Majesty.
Now, I give you fair warning. Either you or your head must be off. Take your choice.
Oh, get back here! Your head is mine! I've had enough of all of this foolishness. There must be a way out of this dreadful courtyard.
Aye, it's all her fancy, that. They never execute nobody, you know. Well, come on, it's quite all right. The Queen is long gone.
I have never been so ordered around in my whole life. Who are you, anyway?
Oh, Griffin! It's terrible!
Oh, here he goes again. Guess what his sorrow is.
Oh, couldn't possibly. There does seem to be a great many things in this world one could cry about.
Terrible! 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 Oh, terrible!
Oh, calm down. What this young lady wants to know your history.
I do?
I'll tell it to her. Sit down. And don't speak a word till I'm finished.
I don't see how you can ever finish if you don't begin.
Once I was a real turtle, and I lived in the sea. Such a beautiful sea. We went to school in the sea too, you know. The master was an old turtle. We used to call him Tortoise.
Why did you call him Tortoise if he wasn't one?
We called him Tortoise because he taught us. Really, you are very dull.
You should be ashamed of yourself for asking such a simple question.
I'm sorry. Please, tell me more.
We had the best of educations. In fact, we went to school every day.
I've been to a day school too. You needn't be so proud as all that.
With extras?
Yes, we learned French and music.
And washing?
Certainly not.
Ah, then yours wasn't a very good school. Now, at ours, they had reeling and writhing, of course, to begin with, and then the different branches of arithmetic. Ambition, distraction, uglification, and derision.
I never heard of uglification.
Never heard of uglifying? Well, you know what it is to beautify, I suppose?
Yes, it means to make anything prettier.
Well, then, if you don't know what uglifying is, you really are a simpleton.
What else did you learn?
Well, there was mystery, ancient and modern, with seaography. Then drawing. The drawing master was an old conger eel who used to come once a week. What we learned from him is drawing, stretching, and fainting in coils.
What was that like?
Well, I can't show you myself. I'm too stiff. And the griffin never learned it.
Hadn't time. I learned from the classical master, though. He was an old crab, he was.
I never went to him. He taught laughing and grief, they used to say.
So he did. So he did.
And how many hours a day did you do lessons?
10 hours the first day, 9 the next, and so on.
That's why they're called lessons, because they lesson from day to day.
So the 11th day must have been a holiday?
Of course it was!
And how did you manage on the 12th?
Oh, that's enough about lessons. Come, let us try the figure of a lobster quadrille.
I'm afraid I don't know what that is.
Well, then the mock turtle should sing us a song.
if I'm going to sing something, a song makes the most sense.
Oh, a song, please, if the Mock Turtle would be so kind.
Sing us Turtle Soup. Oh, that's the saddest.
Beautiful soup, so rich and green, waiting in the hot tureen. Who for such dainties would not stoop? Soup of the evening, beautiful soup. Soup of the evening, beautiful soup. Beautiful soup. Beautiful soup. Soup of the evening, beautiful, beautiful soup.
I would certainly love a bowl of soup right now. I fear I am very late for tea. I hope my mother won't be too angry with me.
Oh, enough of that. Come, let's hear some of your adventures.
Well, I could tell you of my adventures, beginning from this morning. But there's no use going back to yesterday, because I was a different person then.
The trial's beginning!
The trial?
Yes, come quickly. The queen is having a fit. We shall all lose our heads.
They can't have anything to put down yet before the trial's begun.
They're writing down their names for fear they should forget them before the end of the trial.
Stupid things. Silence in the court.
That's a good question.
A fine muddle their slates will be in before the trial's over.
Harold! Read the accusation.
The Queen of Hearts, she made some tarts all on a summer day. The Knave of Hearts, he stole those tarts and took them quite away.
Now consider your verdict!
Oh, not yet, Your Majesty. There's a great deal more to come.
Oh, yes, of course. Call the first witness!
First witness? Oh, that's me!
Pardon me for bringing this in, Your Majesty, but I hadn't quite finished my tea when I was sent for.
Well, you ought to have finished. When did you begin?
Hold this. 14th of March, I think it was.
16!
Yes!
Oh, write that down.
That comes to 45. Convert to shillings. Then you go.
Take off your hat.
Oh, it isn't mine. Stolen! I keep them to sell. I've none of my own. I'm a hatter.
Oh, he's a hatter. Okay.
Well, give your evidence, and don't be nervous, or I'll have you executed on the spot.
I am a poor man, Your Majesty, and I hadn't but just begun my tea not above a week or so. And what with the bread and butter getting so thin, and the twinkling of the tea and
The twinkling of what?
It began with the tea.
Well, of course, twinkling begins with a T. Do you take me for a dunce?
Yes.
Sometimes.
Go on.
I am a poor man, Your Majesty, and most things twinkled after that, only the March hare said that.
I did it.
You did!
I deny it.
Oh, he denies it. Leave out that part.
But what did the dormouse say?
Oh, that I can't remember.
Well, you must remember, or I'll have you executed.
I'm a poor man, Your Majesty.
You're a very poor speaker. If that's all you know about it, you may stand down.
I can't go any lower. I'm on the floor as it is.
Well, then you may sit down.
I'd rather finish my tea.
You may go.
Okay.
Yes, and just take his head off.
No!
Call the next witness!
The cook!
Ooh, the cook.
Hi, Your Majesty.
I give your evidence.
Shan't? It's mine.
Your Majesty must cross-examine this witness.
Well, if I must, I must. What are the tarts made of?
Pepper. Oh.
Behead that
More
dog!
pepper!
Call
More
that
pepper!
dog! Call that dog out of court! Send him to his cell! Pinch him! On with his whistle!
Oh, my dear. Oh, you really must cross-examine this next witness. Oh, this quite makes my forehead ache. Call the next witness!
Alice!
Her?
What do you know of this business?
Nothing.
Nothing whatever?
Nothing whatever.
Well, that's very important.
Yes. Unimportant, Your Majesty means? Of
Oh,
course.
yes. Unimportant, of course. Consider your verdict!
But you don't have any evidence yet.
Silence!
Oh, dear.
What's the matter?
I feel strange.
Oh, my. Oh,
I beg your pardon.
Oh, my.
The trial cannot proceed until all of the jury people are back in their proper places!
Alice! Are you all right?
Yes, I seem to be.
Chop her down this instant!
Aha! Rule 42. All persons more than a mile high must leave the court!
I'm not more than a mile high.
You are!
Nearly 2 miles high.
That's not a regular rule. You invented it just now.
It's the oldest rule in the book.
Then it ought to be number 1.
Consider your verdict!
Oh, there's more evidence to come yet, Your Majesty. This paper was just picked up.
Ooh, what is it?
A set of verses.
Are they in the prisoner's handwriting?
No, they are not.
Oh, he must have imitated somebody else's hand.
Yes.
I didn't write them, and they can't prove that I did. There's no name signed at the end.
Well, if you didn't sign your name at the end, that only makes the matter worse. You must have meant some mischief, or else you'd have signed your name like an honest person.
That only proves your guilt.
It proves nothing of the sort. Why, you don't even know what they're about.
Read them. Begin at the beginning, and then go on until you reach the end. Oh, and then you can stop.
They told me you had been to her and mentioned me to him. She gave me a good character, but said I could not swim. I gave her 1, they gave her 2, you gave us 3, or more. They all returned from him to you, though they were mine before. My notion was that you had been before she had set an obstacle that came between him and ourselves and him. Don't let him know how to best, for this must ever be a secret kept from all the rest. Between yourself and
Bravo.
Well, this is the most important piece of evidence we've had yet. So now let the jury...
If any one of them can explain it, I'll give them 6 pence. I don't believe there's an atom of meaning in it.
Well, if there's no meaning in it, that saves us a world of trouble, you know, as we needn't try to find any. And yet, do not know. Said I could not swim. You can't swim, can you?
What does that mean?
We know this to be true. Well, that's the jury, of course.
Oh, the jury. That's you. Yes.
I gave her 1. They gave him 2. Oh, that must be what he did with the tarts, you know.
Yes. But then it goes on. They all returned from him to you.
Why, there they are. Nothing can be clearer than that. Although, before she had this fit, you never had any fits, my dear, I think.
Well, never.
Well, then the words don't fit you. It's a pun. Consider your verdict.
Sentence first, verdict afterwards.
Stop and nonsense! Imagine having the sentence first.
You hold your tongue.
I won't.
You insolent girl.
You speak nothing but nonsense. All of you.
Off with your head. Off with your head.
I will take her head off by order of the Queen.
Our court.
Stop her down from there.
Around here.
Take off her head.
I'm not scared of you. You're nothing but a pack of cards. The looking glass. But I can't get through the mirror. Oh, I don't want to be stuck in the looking glass world forever.
You are not quite done yet, my dear.
Caterpillar, please, can't you tell me how to get home?
I've asked you once, and I'll ask you again. Who are you?
I don't know.
Yes, you do.
Alice, there isn't any time to waste. I must be off at once. Alice, there isn't any time to waste. Oh, Alice, I must be off at once.
I really must.
Oh, Alice,
Enough of the puzzles and the riddles and the morals that have no meanings. My name is Alice. Alice! I'm 11 3/4 and I just want to get home for tea.
If you hurry, Alice, you might just make it in time.
'Twas the sprilling and the sliding toves did gyre and gimble in the wave. All mimsy were the borogoves and the mome grass outgrabe.
Alice, it's time for tea. Have you finished your lessons yet? Oh, Marjorie, I can't begin to tell you the lessons I've learned. You wouldn't believe it. The world was backwards, and there was a caterpillar, and a strange hatter who kept making puns, and a queen who kept yelling off with their heads, even though the cat told me I should keep mine. And I couldn't tell if I was 4 people or 1.
Oh, Alice, don't talk nonsense.
Oh, but it isn't nonsense, Marjorie. Just look in the mirror.
Yes, it's a backwards house in a backwards world. I don't suppose they have backwards tea as well?
They do. It's always tea time there.
Well, it isn't so here, so we've better hurry or we'll be late. As long as you promise you'll memorize your poetry tomorrow.
Forget that old poem. I've learned so many new ones. Can I tell you the one about the walrus and the carpenter?
The walrus and the carpenter? Who ever heard of something so absurd?
Listen, Marjorie. The sun was shining on the sea, shining with all his might. He did his very best to make the billows smooth and bright. And this was odd because it was the middle of the night.
Bye.